Today now and over the weekend we'll be looking out for our key lifesaver offences, we call them. That's speeding, driving with no seatbelt, distraction driving or using a mobile phone, and drink driving, drug driving. That's our campaign and our focus over the weekend starting this morning across County Meath. We're particularly going to be looking at distraction driving. That's the mobile phone, and our advice to motorists and all road users is to put the phone away. Any other thing that distracts you, your coffee, make sure you have that before you take your trip. Put the phone away and concentrate on your driving. We're asking everybody to enjoy the roads, use the roads safely, slow down, take your speed back down 10 or 15 kilometres an hour, drive within the speed limit, and not only that but appropriately within the speed limit. As we see here this morning, we have a rural road which is 80 kilometres of a speed limit, which probably in parts we know isn't suitable for 80 kilometres. So slow down, drive according to the size of the road conditions, and the other road users that are on it. This year our fatalities on the road is up, and it's concerningly up. We're at 113 this year. 113 people lost their lives. That's 13 more than last year. It's still too many. There's a number of factors. We want to see people slowing down, avoiding distraction, concentrate on their driving, and just be careful on the roads. Think of other roads users that for some reason might get into difficulty, might make a mistake. You have to react to that. Your own mistake, you have to be able to react to it and concentrate on your road. August is a very busy month for farmers. There's a lot going on. They're making their silage. They started the harvest. So you have a lot of machinery moving on the roads, and it tends to be in rural areas where the farms are and where the agricultural land is, and the rural roads are narrow. They're legacy roads in the country. They're not designed, they're not engineered, they're old roads. And with the farming industry, like every other industry, the production has increased, the machinery has increased, everything has increased, and the size of the machinery has, but our roads hasn't. So we wanted two parts of it. The first part is for the people working the machines, driving on the roads, to realise the size of the machine and the size of the road and drive accordingly, and to avoid distraction driving while using a mobile phone or whatever the case may be in the machines. These are big machines, particularly on rural roads. And secondly, for other road users, to be conscious of the farming industry and the farmers and appreciate that they are doing their work and are on the road, and just be conscious that if you are in a rural area and you're travelling rural roads, that you may meet a farm machine that's coming that road that may be the full width of their side of the road.
Yeah.
So you have to be in a position and prepared to stop. So as I was saying, is to reduce your speed and drive appropriately or according to the road conditions that you're on at that time. And I'm going to repeat this again, the distraction driving. Like, our detections are up 8% this year for using mobile phones, with our message going out every week. So we want to re-emphasise that. Leave the phone down, other distractions down, and concentrate on your driving. We welcome everything that can help us reduce road deaths, because one road death is too many. They're avoidable. Most of them are avoidable with a bit of care, a bit of slow down. We'll say this road here beside us is 80 kilometres now. Later on in the year it'll be 60 kilometres. That's 20 kilometres less of a speed to drive on. That makes a huge difference. And if people drive accordingly and appropriately, it will help. And yes, we won't be everywhere, but we have an operation plan in place for the August bank holiday weekend, which is targeting those offences. We will be moving around the county, so while we won't be everywhere, we can be everywhere, if you know what I mean. You don't know where we're going to pop up. Still in 2024 we're talking about drink driving, and now we have drug driving. So drug driving and drink driving is more or less on a par at the minute. We have mandatory intoxicating testing checkpoints every weekend. We focus on the weekend because that tends to be where the people go out. So our operation, which is included in this weekend as well, is our mandatory intoxicating testing, where we test for randomly in a checkpoint like this. If we were doing this as a missed checkpoint, we'd test everybody for alcohol or for drugs. We have new drug wipes, which leaves drug testing very simple. It's 8 minutes and it'll pass or fail, and if you fail, you're arrested and taken to the station where you'll be processed there. So every weekend, particularly, we do evening times and morning, because if you're out for a drink or on a Sunday evening or a Friday evening and you get up for work the next morning, you get up to make a trip the next morning, you get into your vehicle and drive, you still could be under the influence of an intoxicant to leave yourself unfit to drive the car. So yes, we do that every weekend, and that's part of our focus this weekend as well.
We've seen a worrying trend in the last month in particular. There's 113 road deaths, I think, as of today, and that's up on last year. We had seen the numbers go down a little bit. During COVID, they actually stayed relatively static. You would imagine there would be less because there was less people out and about, but they actually stayed sort of persistently high. They had begun to dip down the second part of this year in sort of April, May, June. So there's an average of 20 road deaths per month in January, February, March. That had dropped to 11 in April, May, June. But it's back up now again in the month of July. So we're seeing far too many fatalities, far too many road deaths. A couple of key messages, particularly ahead of the bank holiday weekend, asking people to put the phone away, put the app away, put the tablet away. The Zoom call, the video, these things are not good to be watching while you're driving. People have got in a habit, everyone's glued to their phone, it's almost a part of their body at this stage, but that's not acceptable when you're behind the wheel. 70% of accidents have been on rural roads in the last year. Also, the key times have been sort of late afternoon, early evening, actually from noon up to about 8 p.m, but particularly from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. I'm not sure what that means. Is that people coming home from work? Is people heading out on a night out or in the evening, going out to meet friends? I'm not quite sure what that tells us, but I do know that rural roads are more likely than the national roads or the motorways to see more collisions. We're bringing in new limits starting in November of this year. That's the target date. So at the moment, every rural road, including the one that we're on now, every L road effectively has an 80-kilometre speed limit. Now, most of those local roads aren't really suitable for people bombing along at 80 kilometres per hour. That's actually pretty fast. And the statistics show if you're in a collision at 30 kilometres per hour, you probably will survive. If you're in one at 50, you're in trouble. If you're in one at 80, you're dead. So they really show the higher the speed, the greater the chance of a fatality. So we're saying that these type of roads will start off at 60 kilometres, not at 80. And that would be the new default around the country. Now, local authorities, councils, engineers, local populations, communities will know their own roads best, and we're saying to them they can change that. If a local council says to us, as part of this review, actually there's a particular road, we think it can be 80, we think it can be 70, they might even say it should be 50, that's fine. They can set that themselves and they still have the power to do that. But by default, all these local roads will go back to being 60 kilometres per hour. Another perhaps unexpected benefit of that is GPS systems, your Google Maps, your Waze, your different apps that people use to navigate these days, they push people down a lot of local roads because it's the fastest distances the crow flies. By changing the setting, the speed setting, that may not be such a fast route anymore, and it may take some of that through traffic off those rural local back roads, and I think that would be a positive thing as well.